Okay, so as per usual, I'm gonna go over the week's opportunities. And since it's the end of the month, I'm also gonna go through my monthly data. So this week we had quite an interesting week on SPY. We broke above the 9th of April highs, but we did it on quite low volume. Only had a high volume on this one bar around here that broke out, but even on that, it was just the last volume bar. So nothing super crazy there. It was a very choppy week, especially at the open, which is when I trade. So that was not really good for me. As I said, only very unique ideas worked, and slightly marginal setups that would normally work in a bull market or a bear market for shorts just didn't work because they got ruined by SPY's choppiness. Uh, so this week I also realized that most of my violations are not really unique whenever I go back and check what kind of stuff matches up to my previous week's violations or errors. It's usually always different and rotating, so that probably means that my setups aren't as methodical or systematic as they should be. So I worked on that a bit this week, and it's mostly just little errors that are drawing me down still. So if those could be fixed, like accidentally entering in sim or just not holding my setups for as long as possible, or not as long as possible, but as long as I should, and cutting my trades quickly. These stuff are really hurting my PNL. I even added it up, and without mistakes, which is of course a bit of a long shot, but correcting everything that I've modified in my rule set, going back on the month of April, I would have had an extra 23 hours. So yeah, that's quite substantial from the -5 that I'm in right now. But at least there's some light at the end of the tunnel. So yeah. Takeaway from this week is that mostly unique stuff works in choppy markets or just scalps along with the market's movements or waves. So yeah, let's actually go over the trades, and I'm just gonna go over my monthly data after that. So these are the ones that I took. ASTS first. So I quite liked that we have cleared this mini daily range, and although we're running into another, I'm hoping that since we're above the bottom of that we could just at least run a bit till the 50 MA. So we've cleared this range. VPA was really nice, move up, high volume, pull back on low volume both times. So 1 minute was super nice. My problem here that I corrected in hindsight is that, as you can see, 15-minute was quite extended, no proper pullback for a while, nor did the 5 of anything, although this 3-bar play-ish is quite nice for a continuation outwards, but it is a bit extended from the 9. From the 5-minute 9, and as I said, 15 minutes also extended. So yeah, wouldn't take this trade again, but at the time it was good. Google, it was just a marginal setup. Broke out of this range and set a red candle right on top of that. Didn't have a proper pullback since the bigger larger time frame pullback, so I thought that maybe with this mini 5-minute ascending triangle being formed near the top of this range we could get something, but we bumped into this little up thrust and couldn't continue. It was just a marginal setup that I should not have taken. INTC, yeah, so we filled this gap that we had, set a hammer on top, also at a support level weekly, also couldn't really break down from this and continually setting or fake breaking lows in previous bars, lows, and I was like, okay, this has a little bit of a long bias to it. What I really liked was the 60-minute though, which we didn't have like a really nice pullback on it, and we just started curving, setting up higher lows, getting super tight and exact near this $20 level, a little bit above that. So that was quite nice. I wanted to enter here, but I got too hesitant and didn't pull the trigger, although that would have been a really nice risk reward after this ABCD. So I just waited for it to open, retest PDC. Uh, while simultaneously breaking out of this mini 1 minute range and reclaiming the middle of that, as well as turning from red to green. So that was my cue to enter. I entered there, set my stop loss around here, a 1 hour entry, because the daily wasn't. Daily and the weekly weren't super nice, but they were just quite okay. It was mainly the 60 that was the heavy hitter here. 5 minute was also nice with this ABCD confirmed after the red to green move. So I just entered there, uh, and I cut my position around here. You can see this level very nice on the 15 minute. This is where we rejected and supported from on the 24th and 23rd. So I think that was quite nice. Also somewhat the top of this range without these up thrusts. But yeah, don't regret not holding it any longer. SPY at this time was nice up until around 9:50-ish, by which time I had exited my trade already. Tesla, just a small scalp try. Daily was a bit overextended, but I really liked how on the 60 we had this clean-ish level, and even though it was only a one consecutive candle extension, the 50-minute was quite nice with the 1, 2, 3, 4 consecutive candle extensions. And unfortunately you can see a little bit of doji here, but it was getting like super tight wedge. You can actually see it on the 5 and the 1, and it fake broke to the downside, reclaimed. It got like 1 cent above this 1 minute high, so I pulled the trigger with a half-hour entry because it was mainly just a 15-minute down, or downwards from the 15-minute trade, so not a lot of things on my side. 5-minute could have had maybe a bit more bottom wicks for this trade to be nice, and also SPY was just like curling down, breaking the 409 highs, still on low volume and gapping down. I thought it would maybe just pop up to VWAP, which I could have taken advantage of on Tesla as well. If it just popped up to VWAP, that would have been my target, somewhere around there for a very small trade. AAL breaking out of its daily range, which was super clean. I think weeklies at a level. Unfortunately I didn't zoom enough, far away enough for it to be seen, but still quite a nice extension, setting some double bottom-ish patterns around here, breaking out of its range as I said. Also cleared this little up thrust around here. Okay-ish ABCD, a bit too steep pullback and too swift recovery for it to have very clean momentum upwards. And this is another rule that I implemented, which is a 1 minute chart should have at least a 30% pullback. On these ABCDs, it was just a bit too aggressive with a bit too little pullback. I got taken away by how we retested this clear top around here and continued to break high of day from that. Volume was relatively okay, but it got stuffed and broke down. Yeah, so I was chasing here a bit too on the 1 minute, and yeah, your rule is gonna protect me from that. CCL, it's okay. It was just a marginal setup. It was a launchpad, meaning large range that has a very small range in the middle, and we get a fake break and then a recovery and a fast shoot to the other side. Weekly was relatively bullish, although nothing super crazy around these levels, and 200 MA setting a higher low. I also like the daily, how we basically set a hammer on this little support area, and we were also above this dip slow. We were still inside of a range, but I was hoping to run that range, and that was my target even. We set this mini 5-minute range. Unfortunately, it would have been much better because these launchpad setups mostly work in the dead middle of the range. So it would have been much better if we had set a mini range around here and then fake broke that, but now it kind of feels like it's already done the move. So yeah, this is a bit of a nuance that I messed up as well, but at least I learned from it. So yeah, after that we just chopped the whole day, didn't really move anywhere. Could have set my stop below 1850 to just survive this. But yeah, SPY was also a bit choppy at the time, so that didn't help me. And as I said in my weekly review template, that these are basically the setups that maybe could work in a bull market, but these choppy SPY price actions get you out. But yeah, definitely should not have taken, or definitely will not take anything like this in the future again, with a spy like this. CNA, yeah, just pure revenge trading. Daily is relatively nice, breaking out of this range, setting an ABCD. 60 also pretty much the same thing, just a fractal pattern. 5 minutes, nice, ABCD, although we are now 2 consecutive candle extensions away from the 9, which is a new rule I implemented after this week, is that I'm not going to take a trade with that type of extension. Took a trade without a confirmation candle, which in theory could still be nice curling off of the 9, but that's not my rule. I need at least 1 confirmation candle. And I also set way too tight a stop on my second trade around here, which is when we were breaking high of day. It just gapped a little bit below that and then broke, and I was hoping to get momentum, but I'm not sure why I was hoping for that, because if you just look at the stock, it's just a gappy choppy stock that's moving relatively sideways. Just had a clean not clean, but just had a move for about 15 minutes and then just chopping around. So on these trades, or these type of stocks, I need a very clean entry and stop loss and exit point. Otherwise, it's not worth taking because it's just gappy, choppy shit. And Google is the last trade of the week. Relative to other Max 7s, this wasn't really extended. I really like this revert head and shoulders-ish pattern. I thought that we could clear this little range and get to the top of it, which is basically what we did. It was quite nice. Buy was also pumping at the time, still on low volume. Now battling with this little day's highs, which I'm not really sure what the day is exactly, but it was 567.42, and that's where we were chopping a little bit extended, but quite bullish. And I thought that, okay, since it's not bearish, I could just take advantage of it because Google wasn't really extended. 15-minute was relatively okay, pulling back into the 9s, breaking above. No real confirmation yet, but still nice. 5 minutes relatively similar, setting up for a 3-bar play, which got confirmed when I entered after here. I really like these. A, B, C, D, A, B, C, and the C becomes a range, which then gets broken and retested, and then I enter off of that. Stop loss was below the 164 level. I risked 2 hours on this, very clean setup. 60 is not really extended, can't really predict it, but the 15, the 5 minute were really nice with the bear sandwich and the 3-bar play quote unquote prediction. And the 1 minute was also quite nice too. No real VPA signals, but it was okay. So put my stop loss here. Exit was around 165.17 or 30-ish, which goddamn didn't zoom out enough on either charts, but yeah, had a little bit of a level there on the 60 plus. It was around 80% of the ATR, which is what I like to shoot for, under 100% of the ARVL for a stock. And that makes a move like this, plus it was, as I said, this range high-ish, and the open of this rejection candle. Yeah, so unfortunately it got stalled a bit at 165, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna exit if it like gets a bit of a volume spike. It couldn't really, it always tried to pump and instantly got sold back around 165. Maybe could have taken a partial, but I really wanted a bigger volume rejection, which we didn't get, so I didn't exit, and I just cut it a break even after that because it had already done the move that I was hoping for, and I thought that I wouldn't get stopped out, that maybe this range would hold up and continue back up, since the 15-minute 3-bar play was quite nice. 5-minute was a little bit extended, but it still had the 9 EMA there to support me. Anyway, so those were the trades that I took, and just going over some of the trades that I didn't. Not really explaining them in detail, more is not worth talking about. Nvidia. Also 2 consecutive candle extensions from the 9, a little bit extended on the 1 minute, not really the cleanest pattern, not extended on the daily, but a relatively okay-ish level on the 15. It was just a bit too extended on the shorter time frames, didn't really want to chase there, so I only took it in simulator. Tesla not worth talking about. Roblox quite okay. A very nice daily level with this pivot high, and this range low. That got gapped down into 3 consecutive candle extension, 5 minutes relatively extended too, although not parabolic, not getting that real nice separation from the 9. Maybe could have taken an entry here, not really a nice setup, I just took it Took a screenshot of it, sorry. Starbucks now, was quite nice. No proper pullback from 85 down to 75, which is about a 2.5 ATR extension without a proper pullback, so that was quite nice. Also not getting quite a lot of separation from the 9, but that was quite okay. We set up a mini range right at this daily level, which was just clean as fuck. Set up a range, fake broke it, reclaimed, put in a wick out, could have entered here, stop around here, and just moved along the pre-market levels, or taken partials along pre-market levels. So first here, maybe would have gotten a step that after that, I'm not sure. Probably wouldn't have liked to held through all this chop. But yeah. Cisco. Yeah, so didn't really like how we weren't quite congested on the daily chart and breaking out of that. 60 did have a quite okay level, but daily, as I said, was not extended, but don't really like to chase these. Broke out of the 60 level, very nice high of day level set there as well. Breakout, retest on quite low volume, might I add, so that's nice, but the pullback was aggressive, and we had also rejected this level on the 60. And I just don't really like to trade after those, but yeah, the trade worked. I took a screenshot of it. Wouldn't really take it, I think, but yeah. SDS was quite nice. I was bullish on it. Weekly double bottom on 50 MA and this level or area double bottom, making an ascending triangle, although not super tight, but breaking out nicely on 350% RVL. It was at the time that the trade set up, so breaking out. Unfortunately, it had already reached its ATR, so don't really like to stretch those, but maybe on big breakouts like this with about 350% RVL, I could just take scalps. So around a 1-2, depending on how you count this pre-market candle extension from the consecutive candle extension from the 9 EMA, but we did have a 3-bar play set up around here, which was quite nice. Probably ended around here, the 5-minute candle, so perfect for the ABCD, lowering volume on the pullback. Could have taken it for a bit of a scalp for another 2 consecutive candle extensions, which is 3 is what I usually go for after that. Usually there's a pullback or just a little bit of consolidation, but I don't really want to be holding through that, so yeah, could have gotten a little bit of a trade there. AJMS is, I think, the last trade that I playbooked. It was a bit of a weird one. I was long biased on it on the weekly, holding the 50 and getting a bit tighter. It broke out of this range, set up an ABCD, although we're still not above key levels from the daily, this pivot high and stuff like that. 60 was quite okay, not the biggest pullback, but there was a quite nice level at 36.80, which we broke out of. And coming back into it, we were like 4 consecutive candle extensions into it. Not a really big separation from the 9 and the 1 minute. I would have liked a bit bigger for a usual sell-off and stop entry, but held the level quite nicely. Fake broke, and then as we opened, we made a wick out, reclaimed, and could have taken it back up to 38 level, which was the sell-off on this ISO pivot. So yeah, there was Rocket Lab as well, which just had a little bit of a trend line breakout. Only one, or it was in the second consecutive candle extension on the 60 minute. 5 minute was a bit extended, didn't really want to chase. Maybe could have survived this with the right stop loss. It was only just a simulator trade. Didn't really like how we had a lot of resistance levels ahead. 15 minute was also nice with the ABCD. Yeah. So those were the week's trades. As for the monthly data, the month came out -5 hours. Month was quite choppy. Not really my best environment, but still I would like to get a bit more consistent in these environments as well. I had 34 trades, 15 minutes landing losses, 44% win rate, which should be good enough to be profitable, but I had a lot of break-evens, a lot of cuts, unfortunately, so those ruined me. I'm only just going to mention the best aspects, or the most important aspects. My best RVL range was 150% plus, which were all winners, only 3 trades. which accounted only for 10% of my trades, but they accounted for around 4.5 hours net, which I think is quite solid. Uh, Probably the only takeaway is from this is that stocks moving individually are the best in these times, which I've already noted in my weekly template. And the worst Arval range was between, I have this in different batches, but anything basically 0 to 100%. So yeah, my best setup was price action setups, so not textbook setups, but stuff that's set up individually, like INTC or HIMS would have been a great example of that too. But yeah, the other ones were just a bit more marginal or lower volume, and SPY windows. Another important aspect is that I had guessed the correct direction on 20 trades, yet I only had 12 winners on those, meaning that I usually don't manage my winners or execute my winners as well as I should, and it mostly comes from cutting my winners short. I cut a lot at break even, so I implemented a new rule for that, meaning that I only cut my winners if they were like Google, where they moved from, let me just pull that out real quick. So if they had already got to the target and then rejected from that. So otherwise, if the structural integrity of the trade is unharmed and we haven't reached the target, I'm not gonna cut my winners short, because I lost a lot of P&L on that and only saved like around 4 or 5 hours from cutting my trades, and about I lost 3 times as much cutting my trades. So definitely not worth it. Yeah, where was I? Yeah, right here. Yeah, cognitive states. Usually it's the close where I lose my most money, which is usually after I have a loss or just a violation, and then I become closed. I just want a revenge trade. A bit better than last month, I think, not losing as much on it. Yeah, but I still have to work on that. Intraday SPY is like when it was neutral or choppy versus or against me, it was where I lost most of my money, and when it was with me is when I made my most money. So that just goes to show that in these choppy times, you really want to wait for the best setups or just align yourself with SPY, because otherwise you're fucked. And the first 5 minutes is when I usually don't track what SPY is doing, because I cannot really tell where it's headed. I lost also quite a lot. And yeah, another just interesting thing is that my first and third trades were the most profitable, quote unquote most, like 1 hour on the first trade and almost 4 hours on the third trades, and the second trades were the least profitable, meaning that I probably was affected. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for, affected by the first trade, and probably revenge trading or just not paying as much attention on the second trades, but I gotta look out for this too. And I think that the way I'm gonna look out for it is just standing up after the first trade, clearing my head, even if for just 1 or 2 minutes, just like resetting my bar and going back to my station a bit more refreshed. So yeah, those were the week's trades and my monthly data. I'm struggling quite a lot with my current strategy. I think it has way too much discretion involved, which I tried to systemize a little bit. And I think that if I'm not gonna see like a good improvement in the next month or two, I'm gonna pivot away from it, because I've been in it for 2 years, and even though I freaking love this strategy, I just cannot seem to consistently execute it well. And it works quite okay in bull markets because it's much easier, and it's mostly designed for training markets, this strategy. But I could also survive choppy times, as I said, in this with just being more selective with my setups, trading higher level stuff or stuff along with SPY if there are scalps. But yeah, unless things are gonna clear up, I think I should probably find something that is a lot more systematic, or just maybe somehow make this a lot more systematic. But it's yeah, it just unfortunately has a lot of discretion, and I'm just at my wit's end here.